Hey everybody, Adam Rank here on a very special occasion. We're going to be joined today by Draft Dr. Phil, who you can see right over there. If you don't know him, he's from the Tape Never Lies Network, Keeping It 100 podcast, where him and his buddy Shane yell at me for liking Matt Nagy. But Dr. Phil, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Are you kidding me? You're my brother from another, and I'm so excited to be here with you. I mean, there's so much positivity or stuff going on in the air of what has been neglected for how many years. So everybody's got a theory, a trade, and I honestly feel like something big is about to go down.
You know, and I agree with you. And I know a lot of people will look at me and say, stop with the Russell Wilson thing. Like, it's not happening. He's not getting traded. And you know what? I think that we're all realists to some point, but there's a reason why we are having so much fun. And I know that there was somebody recently who stole this bit, and at least they had the common decency to change it up enough so it didn't look like a direct lift. But I've long said that the three best Bears quarterbacks of my lifetime are Jim McMahon, Jay Cutler, and Walter Payton on the halfback option. And that's it. That's the list. Now, somebody used that and put like Russell Wilson in there, and they took it. At least they took out the Walter.
I saw that tweet.
At least they took out the Russell Wilson joke part of it, which is fine. I'm like, okay, fine. Like it's one of those things that's like, okay, it wasn't a full Mencina, but okay. But any of that. But this is why we're so excited. Like, this is why we jump on every rumor, because our quarterback situation, Doc, it's been awful. By the way, I just noticed too, I always have Docs on this show. Like, we had Doc Ross during the playoffs during Man versus Machine. Now I bring in Draft Dr. Phil. I'm a big fan of the doctors, apparently. But how do you feel about this Russell Wilson stuff?
I feel like first of all, Russell Wilson is my quarterback. You know, if I had to choose, let's select everybody. You know, the GOATs in there. There's something always been about Russell Wilson that has always intrigued me. And this goes back to me and my father on a Saturday. He told the story on our show, X's with the O's. Me and my dad break down Bears tape on our Patreon channel. And I was telling him about Russell Wilson. He's like, let me tell you the story. Philip challenged me on a Saturday. You watch every game and every quarterback, and I watch, and then tell me who's the best. He was at NC State, Adam. My dad calls me. Who do you got? I go, I got Russell Wilson. He's like, you son of a gun, I got the same guy. I don't care what they say about his height. And then you saw where he went and what he's done. Now him and Watson are the two guys that could get over the negativity. Like, that's for you. I'm stealing that from my buddy from across the pond, Berlissimo.
Who's joining us? He's with us here today. He's letting me know that Josh McCown was better than Cutler, which is like, okay, fine.
Well, you can have Josh McCown had that hot hand, and as a coach, sometimes you got to choose. Jay Cutler, God made a quarterback in every facet except up here of leadership and taking over. But anyway, to your point, there's been a drought at quarterback. I believe 100% that the Chicago Bears are going to go all in on Wilson or Watson. That's what they're doing right now. They're feeling their oats and getting their orders because they're desperate. They're backed up into a corner. You got a GM that messed it up, and he missed on Watson and Mahomes, two generational talents. Then the coach comes in here. He can't help Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky, I like the kid, right? We've talked about this before many a time, but there's a limit to where he can go. Russell Wilson transcends any offensive scheme. I said it on our show last week. I said, think about this. The Packers are up 10. Mitch Trubisky goes out there. Are you confident? No. Nick Foles goes out there. You confident?
Not as much.
Russell Wilson comes out at the half.
We're winning.
You got an opportunity. Not only are you thinking we're winning, you understand we haven't felt that, Adam. Maybe Jim McMahon. Maybe I felt that with me. Even with Cutler, I didn't feel like he's going to overcome all of this. and lead you down the football field. That's what Wilson and Watson have. It's an uncoachable trait where they transcend any kind of scheme and philosophy with toughness, leadership. You heard these two in the presser. What 3 traits? Well, athleticism, leadership, and ball accuracy. Well, check all those boxes for those two.
I'm surprised. I know they couldn't come right out and say Russell Wilson by name, but I wish I would have put in a 4th and been like, has to be married to Sierra. I'm not going to say anybody. We're not talking about one specific person, but like they need to be married to a celebrity. Let's just put it at that. Like that's kind of how it felt. And it's interesting on a number of different levels. I always love the Bears fans who are like, I don't want to give up. That's too much to give up for. I'm like, what the have you been watching over the last your lifetime? Because you've never, unless you're old enough to remember Sid Luckman, you don't know elite quarterback play. And Jim McMahon was a great quarterback. And he was a Gardner Minshew type of his generation, maybe a little bit better. I don't think that Gardner's reached his potential yet, but he was like that kind of guy. McMahon wasn't a Peyton Manning type who was out there just slinging, although they were very good. The offense was very good, but he was good for what he needed to do. He was a perfect 80s quarterback. So anytime somebody goes like, I don't want to give up all these first round picks, I'm like, you wouldn't give up Kevin White. Exactly. You wouldn't give up Leonard Floyd.
Exactly.
You wouldn't give up, like, we've missed on a number of first round picks. And then we've hit some too. Roquan Smith has been very good. Kyle Fuller's been pretty good. And Aaron Donald has been pretty good. Aaron Donald didn't get picked by us. That was the pick before. That is still, to this day, I think I've told you this story, and I'm going to make you listen to it again, because I was doing a correspondence piece at Radio City Music Hall, and we were doing a fashion thing. We had Megan Collins, who's the style girlfriend, Megan Collins, delightful lady. And she's like, I want to kind of check out this draft. I'm like, oh yeah, like come in and hang out. So, we found some open seats at Radio City Music Hall. We're just talking about the draft. And I know the Bears pick is coming up. The Rams right in front of the Bears. And obviously we had been mocked to taking Aaron Donald this whole time. And we watched the tape. Everybody knew. I'm surprised he lasted that long, but okay. And here it comes. And the Rams, who had a pretty good defensive line at the time, that if somebody would have jumped us or whatever, it would have been, you could have seen it coming. This just came out of left field. And my visceral reaction, I think I almost scarred this poor young lady. Thankfully, we're still friends, so it wasn't too bad. But she, for a moment, thought I was a lunatic. And then I had to explain, what was going on. And I'm like, and listen, it is a meme that you see around with a guy at a ball game, like explaining, like mansplaining something. I was literally mansplaining this, but it was the draft. It's my industry. So I think I should be allowed to do this. But I was telling her, and she's like, how good, like, she's like, help me. But she was, like, help me understand. What do you mean? She's a Packers. She's from Wisconsin. She's a Packers fan. She's like, what do you mean? Like, explain this to me. And I go, I think that everybody has really missed the boat on this player because he played at Pitt. He's not a high profile guy like had he played at Ohio State or something. But when you watch him, like, this guy is unbelievable. He is going to change the game. He is going to be a defensive player of the year candidate every year that he plays professional football. And he's been mocked to the Bears. Like, every mock draft from that year had Aaron Donald going to the Bears. And for it not to happen, it was such a... And I feel bad for Kyle Fuller, the guy that we actually did pick, because he's been great.
He's been a great football player.
He's such a good football player, but it's like, oh...
But that's a generational talent. And that's to your point, though. And I try to educate a lot of Bears fans on this too. It's like with Khalil Mack, those first round picks are gambles. They're 50-50 shots at what you're going to get. Yeah. And Khalil Mack is a sure thing. It's a generational talent. You're going to get what you got. You went to the NFC North, won the division. You went to the playoffs. Obviously, Vic Fangio and 39 turnovers had a lot to do with that because of 52 on the football field.
Right.
These narratives get written, and now we've never gotten over the hump. We've got to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. He couldn't do it. The reality is, in the greatest game in the world, the most difficult position there is in all of sports is the quarterback. And at 43 years old, if you can't get it through your brain that you're watching it, it's not coincidence he's without Bill Belichick and doing it. He's doing it because he is a great generational talent. And that's what you're trying to get. And if it takes 3 first-round picks to get Russell Wilson, who, as we said in that little exercise, how do you feel? We haven't felt that any given Sunday we don't have to worry about the Chicago Bears passing offense whatsoever. We felt comfortable with the A-Train and all these running backs throughout the history. Matt Forte, Matt's going to get some yards. We're going to get the run. We always feel comfortable, we as Bears fans, with our defense. But we've never had the elite quarterback. And yes, we can point the finger. Ryan Pace screwed this up. He can't hide anywhere. And that's why he's in this position. To your point, missing first-round picks, get the elite quarterback no matter what it takes. We went through these exercises. Who you're going to give up Mac? You're going to give up this? Yes, you're going to do it.
Who do you want? Yeah,
that's what you have to do.
It is such, and it always goes to similar to what you're talking about every Sunday. Just think about every year. You know, if you're a fan of the Green Bay Packers, you know that every year, unless your quarterback gets hurt, you're going to be in the mix for the playoffs. They've gone to the NFC Championship game the last 2 years. It sucks that it's awesome that they haven't won. It's great for us. But you still get there. When you are this team, because they're like, we should just play Bears football. Good. I'm like, we've done that for generations. The line is so fine to walk. If that is what you're relying on, it takes a double doink. It takes a rainy evening in Miami for it all to topple. Your quarterback, I mean, I don't think Jay Cutler was going to win that NFC Championship game had he not been hurt. But those are the things that happen. Even when you had Jim McMahon, because of his injury history, the greatest defense of a generation won one Super Bowl. Look at the Baltimore Ravens. They had a great generational defense. They won one Super Bowl because they could not solve the quarterback issue. They had Trent Dilfer. They wisely decided that Trent Dilfer, and a lot of people are like, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Who cares? Try to find a guy who you think is better. And Elvis Gerbach didn't work out, but I will always credit the Ravens for going for it. Like, yeah, don't rest on your, hey, we won it with Trent Dilfer, because it's not going to happen again. And I think that we tried to recapture the magic a little bit with Nick Foles of like, yeah, that was a special. By the way, and this is the thing, I was doing a mock draft again for redoing the 2016 mock draft, and I know we're going to talk about some stuff the Bears should do. I contend that if you were redoing the draft from 2016 and the Eagles had an opportunity to draft Carson Wentz, I think that they should do it again, because they do not get to the Super Bowl that year if Wentz isn't playing at an MVP. He was an MVP candidate. He would have been the MVP had he not got hurt.
The narratives change because of Madden, the video game, and what you do in fantasy football and stuff. Yeah. People's narratives based on those stats never look at what the challenges were, injuries, and what defenses they were playing and how these players played. I mean, you're the best in the business. I'm not saying that because I'm on your show. I say it on my show. I say it in private with anybody that will listen. You do such a great job breaking down fantasy football. Like, I think out of all those guys, and I don't want to go off course, but you actually pay attention to tapes and matchups and that's why you're the best. That's my point.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
But that's the reality. Wentz, that didn't happen by a miracle. Yes, he had a good line. This is a team sport. You can't, like, do we go back and take away Joe Montana's credit because he had a Hall of Fame tight end, the best receiver ever to play, arguably? You don't do that.
Well, you won 2 Super Bowls without him.
Exactly. You look at what they do. And Wentz, we were on our show, the smartest man, Shane, as you said, he was saying, I think it's going to be Wentz. And Carr's our other guy, Bears nerd. He was saying Wentz, and there's a familiarity there, but you know the story. I just think we said this for 2 months now. The Bears are in a desperate mode. And obviously, when you are desperate, you're going to pay extra for the mansion. You're going to pay extra for the house. But that's the reality of the situation that you're in. You can't. I hated, and I'll say this real quick and I'll shut up. I hated them going out there and keeping Mitch open. Like,
that was a terror. No, he's gone.
Don't
do that.
Condescending. It's
Stop doing that.
Exactly. I'm going to say the same thing tonight on our show. Don't do that. Just be transparent about that with your. I know you're not getting any advantage out on free agency. Everybody knows that marriage is done.
Yeah.
So don't condescend to these fans that really are anxious and hurt and disrespected based on the presser you did at the end of the season with the collaboration crew.
Yeah.
That stuff, Adam.
Okay.
All right.
Stop it. Stop it with that. But the thing is too, it's kind of like if you promised your friend you were going, hey, I got tickets for the Cubs game. Yeah. And you're like, because you had a connection and then it falls through. At some point, if the only thing available is Diamond Club, I don't even know if that's a thing at Wrigley Field. I'm thinking of Angel Stadium. If the Diamond Club is the only thing available and you're going to have to pay, $800 for tickets, that's the situation that you're in. Like one time I was supposed to return home from Las Vegas. I missed my early morning flight and my wife was super mad. And then all of a sudden, she had Disneyland season passes. That's kind of the situation that the Bears are in right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly it.
So one of the things, though, that I wanted to bring you on, and I don't know which way you're going to take this. I did task you with 3 things that you would do if the 3 top priorities for you. We could probably do 100, as you said. But I want to know your 3 top priorities. It can be quarterback, it can be anything. I'm just interested to get your take. And why don't you kick us off? The first thing, what is the first priority you would have for the Bears going into this offseason and free agency and the draft and everything like that?
I think it's to get the quarterback. I mean, it's Russell Wilson, Watson, or Watson. Just keep those. You got to stack that because I just believe that's. Listen, Russell Wilson comes on this football team, you're a Super Bowl caliber contender. That's the end of the story. All these narratives, all these blog boys and writers and all these newspapers around the country keep overlooking. The Bears were 8-8. They went to the playoffs. They've been 8-8, and they have what everybody talks about in crappy quarterback play. Questionable coaching decision. Does that go hand in hand? Yes, it does. So when you get a dynamic talent, does that change? Absolutely. How many more games does Russell Wilson win, Adam, in your mind? 4?
At least.
4 games. Exactly. So now you're
at
12
least
win team.
Yeah, they at least split with the Packers.
Absolutely. Did they lose to the Lions, for God's sake? Up 10 with 2 minutes to go?
Damn.
Never.
That game.
That should have been firing Pace and Nagy right after. They should have cleaned house. But that's a whole nother story. That's where I would start if it was me. Fire the coach and the GM.
Fire the quarterback who doesn't want to run the football. You're still an athletic guy. Run it.
Dive.
Hold it.
Dive.
Do what you got to do.
Anyway,
but
that's
so
those things are first. But if we're going to go.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you. Let me just ask you real quick. If it's not Wilson or Watson, would you prefer that they draft a quarterback, or would you like them to try to make a move for somebody like Marcus Mariota, Gardner Minshew, Sam Darnold, or somebody like that?
I'm all in my number 1 quarterback, and it's been this way in the history. I say this on the show. In the history of me doing this with my partner Shane, the smartest man, Marsaw, we've never agreed. Ever. And then you add Bears Nerd, who I've known these guys for 20-something years. So all of us privately texted, who's your quarterback? And this is October 28th. It was my daughter's birthday. Mac Jones. All of us.
Oh, my gosh. All of us.
Everybody on the
Berlissimo saying that, too.
And Berlissimo, who's now a part of our network, is breaking down the draft. We got a show, Draft Mob, every Sunday. breaking down all the draft and everything. We got to have you on with us there.
Yeah, for sure.
Blast. But all of us, Mac Jones, this has been, now it's gaining fire. Mac Jones is moving on. But Adam, Mac Jones is what I see in Tom Brady. Just talented accuracy, anticipation throws, and pre-snap intelligence that's beyond. It's not Alabama because Deshaun Watson played at Clemson. How many first-round picks were on that?
Plenty, yeah.
Exactly. Don't hinder a prospect based on who they play with or against. Look at the fundamentals. Look at the talent. Mac Jones, he just is what he's going to be dying. He's going to be drafted well ahead of what people think. But that would be the role I get, because that leaves me with Nagy, because then he'll play I'm developing, I'm going to get time. So if I was the GM, I would have to put the team first.
You have to stop
that talent. I would. I'm telling you.
You have to stop sitting here and being like they never finished below 500 and all this stuff, and then also want to fire the coach. Come on.
I'm going to cheer. I'll never alleviate Mac. I'm going to get him Mac Jones. If he can't build Mac Jones based on what I see on the tape, which it never lies, then that's what I would do, Adam. I would trade up there more so than Mariota. I would sign. Here's who I would sign. Can I give you this?
Please.
My plan was to trade up, I signed Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, I like it.
I signed Jacoby Brissett. He's the starter. The young kid sitting behind him, Nick Foles, is gone, or he's third string or whatever. Restructure his deal, or he leaves. And I don't know what the cap hit is. I'm not a cap guy, but the reality is that's what I would do. Jacoby Brissett would be my signing. I would go out and get him and trade up and get myself Mac Jones, because to your point, Bears fans, we've done this for years.
Yeah.
It's time. They were up there. He traded up. He missed.
Yeah.
Ted Phillips and George. Oh, George.
Hey, a lot of people missed too. Like people forget, like the 49ers needed a quarterback. Hey, do you think the 49ers couldn't benefit from Deshaun Watson right now?
Oh my God.
Do you think that the Cleveland Browns wouldn't benefit from Baker's been okay, but
who would you rather have? Watson? Seriously, Watson.
You know what? Or Phil, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go Wilson. 100%.
Okay,
I know that Wilson's older, but you're like, bro, these guys play till they're 40. Like he's got 7 more years, 6 more years, whatever. Yes. I will take that. And I'm a big Deshaun Watson
6 years
guy.
is a lifetime for us. We've had one Super Bowl, right?
Let's get in there. Yeah, let's get in there. Let's go win one. Let's win 2. Like it's the whole thing with the Eagles. Like a 2017 Super Bowl for the Bears would mean a lot to me, and it would carry over, and you're just kind of it's like when I watch the Angels, because I'm an Angels fan, I still draw back. I'm like, when they were super competitive in the 2000s, like, we got the World Series, like, it's cool. I want them to win still, but I mean, you also recognize that these championships are difficult. So I kind of like that too. And by the way, I will tell anybody who looks at Mac Jones and goes, well, Alabama quarterbacks, which is like the thing that annoys the fuck out of me. Anytime somebody does that,
I love it.
Listen, it's my YouTube channel. You know what? I forgot to record. For my podcast. So hopefully Brian Couche and a lot of those guys who listen to the podcast are just going to watch this, or at least train them to also find this on the thing. But try not to work too blue. I have to use it for effect, because it is one of the things that annoys me. And it is always like, you see it in fantasy a lot too, because sometimes you get like fantasy analysts who are lazy and they're like, SC receivers, am I right? Or that, whatever. Like, so you never drafted Peyton Manning because Tennessee quarterbacks, am I right? Like what? Like you can't have it both ways. So I think that if you evaluate Mac Jones and you come up with legitimate reasons why he can't be a good pro, I will listen to those arguments. But anything with McElroy or any of those other jabronis, it doesn't matter, because Mac Jones is a different person. Nothing that those other Alabama quarterbacks matter to what Mac Jones could do.
Remember the Penn State dilemma of running backs? You don't draft a Penn State running back, Blair Thomas.
Yeah.
And they went down the list. Curtis Enos. and so on and so forth. Well,
It doesn't
Saquon Barkley, right? You have to watch. That's why we did this network. The tape never lies.
The tape never lies.
You have to watch the tape to assess the talent. You can't say all Alabama quarterbacks are this, all Penn State running backs are this. That's where you make mistakes. That's where my uncle coached in the NFL. He told me there's a lot of shoe salesmen in the NFL, more than you could even imagine, that are in GM, presidents, and owners that are going to get involved with football decisions. It's the teams that do the work, like you said, and analyze the tape and look at these talents. That's where you get it. And then there's that one piece that's you and I can't get. It's sitting across the table with Mac Jones. And who is Mac Jones, the person? I walk away from a conversation with Adam Rank. I know this guy's all class, someone I could trust. He's going to do the work. Those are the things that you get out of conversations in private meetings that, draft Dr. Phil doesn't get that sit down with every prospect. And that's what makes me that much more irate with Ryan Pace and the Deshaun Watson thing. It would be the ultimate Chicago Bears thing, though. Let's be honest and keep it 100. He missed on drafting Watson and then has traded all these draft picks to correct his mistake. And what I say to that is I'll take it to the chin if you get it right at the most important position. You own your mistake. I respect that. I hate it, but I respect it. And I'm with you, though. I would pick Wilson over Watson based on what I see on their tape and what they're ready to do. And the veteran, I just think the Chicago Bears would instantly battle Green Bay for the Super Bowl. I mean, you're talking about the Super Bowl defense. Now, what are the Bears giving up? I had a buddy. Let me give you this question. Can I give you a question?
Sure, please.
Okay, 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. You get a 4th back. You give 3 first-round. Or you got to trade Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, a first-round pick, and a 3rd-round pick next year for Russell Wilson. So now you're giving up Mack, Eddie Jackson, a 1st-round pick, but you're getting back a 2nd-round pick. So you get Wilson in a 2nd.
I'm trading away the 1st-round picks. I don't even care.
You would go with the Watson.
Because we're going to
smart answer.
We're going to be so good. We're going to be so good anyways. Those picks aren't going to matter. Even like when the Raiders got Josh Jacobs.
Yes.
And I will tell you this right now. I don't think that I would not sign off on Josh Jacobs being a better player than David Montgomery.
Me either, because he wasn't. I would
take David. I would take Monty. I was in. Well, remember
we were on the show together.
Well, I don't know if you remember too that draft night because where the Bears were slotted, I had to make a Costco run, and so I'm sitting there and I got it recorded. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be real quick. The Bears, we had some time. So I'm like, I can do this. And then sure enough, my phone started blowing up and I started texting you. I'm like, did we really get David Montgomery? Like that was one of the guys that I really wanted. So I thought that was a great pick.
It was a great pick. You got to give him credit there.
I always go back to anybody who's in love with 1st-round picks and say, if you would not trade Kevin White and Leonard Floyd and some other, even if it's Roquan Smith, and I'm not saying him literally, but like missing on 2 of 3, like even if you hit on 2 of 3,
Mitch,
I don't care.
Mitch too. He missed on Mitch.
Mitch, yeah, that's it. That should be the best one. That should be the thing.
That.
Would you trade? I don't want to give up these 1st-round picks. So you're telling me you wouldn't give up Kevin White, Mitch Trubisky, and Leonard Floyd for Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson? You're insane. You're an insane person. Okay, well let's say, and I usually cap these at 30 minutes. I'm going to extend because this is a special circumstance. But I will tell you, so we get the let's say we get the quarterback situation and we're going to say it's one of 3 guys, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, or Mac Jones.
Yes.
And I think that, and we saw last year, the Chargers, their situation with Justin Herbert.
Great point.
The coaching wasn't great and the Chargers always find ways to lose, but it shows you that these quarterbacks who are ready to go, especially now in the current NFL, are going to be able to come in and play. So if Mac Jones is going to be a player, he's going to come in and play. He's not going to be the best that he is, but he can come in and lead a team. So we got that. Let's say we get the quarterback settled. what is the number 2 order of business for you?
I gotta extend Kyle Fuller because
Ooh, like
his contract sets up a certain way. Now, I'm not a cap guy, so I'm stealing from Bears nerd and the smartest man, but the number is so high. You got to go to this guy. And here's the big point, Bears fans, here. One with which I've made many a time. Kyle Fuller reminds you of Charles Woodson or Rod Woodson, the Woodson cousins.
Yeah.
He's somebody that you extend because his cap's high. He's great at corner, but he could be moved back to safety when that time comes where he hits that every corner, lost that step.
Yeah.
This guy has the physicality, Adam.
Yes,
toughness,
he does.
And he is I get goosebumps when I talk about this young man because he is a consummate professional when it comes to studying tape. He is a leader. So young corners like Jalen Johnson are getting an education on how to be a professional. You don't lose that in your locker room.
Nope.
You applaud that and extend that. So that's my number 2 thing after the quarterback is to go to Kyle. Let's get this contract. We want you here for the rest of your career. You've done nothing but great things for us here, and you're a great leader of this organization. And then you understand that he can move back. He did it at Virginia Tech. They played him at that monster position at Tech. So that's what I would do. Number 2. Number 3.
Wait, hold on. I want to jump in there with a couple of points. Number 1, the one thing that I wish for him, which I could always, is going back to Khalil Mack's first game, is I wish that the interception that he dropped, I wish he would have, and obviously, as a Bears fan, you want to win that game. I just think for him, as a person who's recognized around the league as one of the best, to the casual fans, I think the people who are in football know how good he is. I wanted that for him so much because he is such a good player. Also, and Barlissimo is talking about this too, about how great of a hitter he is. This is a guy who every time he tackles so hard, he has to lead the league in getting flagged for hits that seem illegal until they go back and watch the tape and they're like, okay, no, he hit him with the shoulder. And there are still times, and my friend Kyle Long and I have exchanged messages about this. I'm like, there are times where they don't overturn it, and it pisses it is because it's funny. They won't overturn it, and then when he's not fined during the week, it's very telling. Exactly. It's very telling. That referee should be fined. How are you it happens all the time. And Danny Trevathan gets it. Was it Dan?
It was Danny. The
Packers where Devontae Adams is falling and struggling. And I remember this play so much because I was so it is one of those things where you're screaming as a fan, don't let him wiggle into the end zone. Please stop him.
We've seen it how many times, especially against them.
Especially the Bears, especially the Packers. They get everything. And then Trevathan's he's already in his motion of tackling.
Dipping his helmet to keep it in there.
He's going for his shoulder pad. He's going to make a good tackle, and then Devontae Adams leans his head in and gets knocked out. That should be a penalty. That I thought that was a rule that runners weren't allowed to do that. I mean, nobody ever calls it, but Trevathan gets, and I get so irritated when these guys, and now Kyle Fuller, even though every hit is clean, now has this reputation of being a dirty hit. It's the reputation is because you flag him.
Exactly.
And you have to overturn it. Because everybody's watching, here comes Andrew Siciliano, a big play here in Green Bay. Kyle Fuller knocks so-and-so silly. And they don't go back to it. And they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, that call was overturned. It was clean as a whistle.
Yes.
Those refs are just waiting. They're just waiting. It's like when my son is starting to crawl around on the couch. And I just know he's going to do, what he loves to do is the Darby Allin, the coffin drop. He loves doing that, and I know that he's going to do it, and I'm just anticipating it, and that's the way the refs are.
Or are you hurrying to save?
Well, that's you got to go and save him. So every time that a ball is in Kyle Fuller's vicinity, that referee is just getting ready to throw that flag because that's the way that they are, and it bothers me. So I love the idea of extending Kyle Fuller. I love even more the idea that they're going to eventually move him to safety. And by the way, I think with the change at defensive coordinator, I think we're going to see a better version of Eddie Jackson once again too.
I hope so, because he was on our shit list, if you will, for most disappointing Bear of last season. Eddie Jackson. My last move.
Yeah, your last move.
My last move would be to cut Charles Leno, left tackle. Charles Leno.
Okay.
And here's why. Obviously Bobby Massey is as well. I'm going to cut both those tackles because I feel like you have to watch the tape to understand what a disappointing effort, technique, and fundamentals that he performs with each and every week, because this is a message to everybody in the locker room type of move. And that's really where I want to set the tone, because everybody and their brother, all the Chicago media, all Bears fans, Bears need a tackle at 20 if they get a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they need a tackle? Because Charles Leno has been a disappointment each and every way. So there's a cap savings there, and I could do better by getting younger and somebody at least that has some sort of pride and anger when they get out on the football field and play this game and protect Russell Wilson. And again, Charles Leno, God gave him talent. If he looked himself in the mirror and was pissed off at his performance and came out there and played hard, because 2019, he was bad. He went back in 2020 and was the same guy, maybe worse. So that, to me, as a GM, as a coach, you can't just speak about it, Ryan Pace. We're trying to get better at every position. I love the get off and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to send the message of accountability. And Charles Leno, to me, and Bobby Massey, they can go and you get yourself some young, you sign a free agent, get him Bobby Wagner. You're getting better by getting rid of. That's my point there. So that would be my third most important move, is don't just settle for Charles Leno. Right. Go to him. If you want to restructure, you want to stay here, restructure your deal. Give us that $6 million back of savings. Then we could talk about that, but we're going to try to get better and replace him. You can't just keep putting bad out there. It's awful. I don't get as fired up with anything else with the Bears between him and AP Holtz, who they just re-signed. That I don't even know how he's on the roster. But this is the Ryan Pace thing. That, for me, the Atoshin way, get rid of Leno. Massey's going to save you $6-7 million. You save that. You get yourself a young tackle in the draft. You got a bunch of young offensive linemen. Maybe you ask Alex Bars to move to right tackle.
Yeah.
Rashad Coward is not a guard. He's more of a tackle. You move him to right tackle. You get the competition. And we did a film study with former Bear Steve Edwards and my father, and all of them agreed. This kid, former Packer, Jason Spriggs, in his limited time, showed more energy, effort, and technique than some of the other guys like Leno. So that would be my final move, and it would be a big cap savings for this Chicago Bears football team. Sorry, my alarm.
No, you're okay. No, because my phone I had to put on mute just a moment ago as well. It's just somebody's blowing me up on Slack now. It's funny too. Because, I lost my point there for a moment. But people act like, you cannot improve. Like, Ryan Pace does pretty well in the draft after the first round. Actually, he's probably better after the first round than he is in the first round. So I really do believe that they can still make some moves. Like, there's still guys you can get in the draft. Like, I don't write it off. I mean, if they have to move up for Mac Jones or something like that, that'll be a little bit of a, that'll be a hit. Whatever, but you know what?
You have other spots to pick. You can always trade and accumulate some more picks. This draft is talented with offensive linemen. Receivers are talented. You got a lot, of needs with this. I think we need another safety, an inside linebacker with Danny T getting up in years. So you're going to have to make some moves. It's going to be interesting, but that offensive tackle position, obviously, that would be if I'm looking at the Bears, it's quarterback, offensive tackle based on me looking at their roster of needs and where they have to improve right now the most. So get rid of what you got and try to send that message to the locker room. You did it with Kyle Long, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Do it with somebody like Leno, whose tape is worse. So those are the three things I do. I love the fact that we have a saying, one of our 100 crew, he's like, I hope there's hope. And right now, with the quarterback quandary of craziness, because listen, you've got connections. I've got connections. People are telling me there's a blockbuster deal about to go down with the Chicago Bears at this position. And what that is, I don't know. You don't know. We're speculating, but it is exciting. And if they do find that quarterback, whether it be some of the guys we talked about today, with my plan, I'll be ecstatic. If it's Russell Wilson, I got to take you out for dinner, man.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We need to do the town, paint the town orange and blue.
New Haven Pizza. I need to check it out.
Moderna Pizza in New Haven, #1 in the world.
By the way, I got to tell you too, is somebody was on the chat function here. They're like, hey, is that is Phil the undersized wide receiver from Hofstra? And I got so excited. I'm like, oh my God, it's Shane who asked the question. I'm like, of course it was.
He's got it.
Because I didn't see the name at first. I'm like, oh gosh, dang it. I would give you the opportunity at this point too, to be like, hey, where can we find you? I feel like everybody who's watching it today is here because of you. And everybody, no, it's a big thing. The family, the Tape Never Lies network. You know what? By the way,
yes,
I had to send a bot. Like we're moving, and I was gonna wear my shirt. I think my shirt had already been sent away because I was digging through boxes and boxes trying to find my Tape Never Lies T-shirt because I was gonna surprise you with it. Instead, I've got my Sweetness.
Hey,
I got
can't go wrong with Sweetness.
From Roots of Fight. If you ever want to check them out at rootsoffight.com, they've got some cool Bears stuff. Please do. Roots of Fight. It is a great place. They got a great collection of Sweetness gear that you've probably seen me rock at some other point. But I do want to thank you.
A picture of you in the Tape Never Lies.
That's the thing. Like I was like, we're going to take it. I was going to do a screen grab. It was going to be good. And then for some reason, the house is in disarray.
When you moving? You moving?
Well, I'm not leaving the area, but we might be, we're going to be changing. I got small kids. We got to eventually get a bigger house. You know how that goes. So
I have a wife. She's saying the same thing.
Oh, I understand. Well, thank you immensely for coming onto the show. And of course, if obviously a lot of you are streaming with us right now, check out Tape Never Lies, Keeping It 100 tonight. Where can we find that?
You can find it on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. The Tape Never Lies. We'll be live on YouTube tonight. We got former Chicago Bears middle linebacker Dante Jones is coming on the air, and from what I hear, he's got some stories to tell about the Ditka Wanstead years. So
I love it.
You're gonna want to tune into that. You can follow me right here on Instagram at Phil_Toshin. And follow the Tape Never Lies. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We always have great guests like Adam Rank coming on, always talking about the Bears. And then we do a film study each and every week, as you know, on the YouTube channel, The Tape Never Lies. I break down the Chicago Bears in depth. And then we have our patron side now, Adam, which is live shows on the drafts. Me and my father, X's with the O's. We're very proud of what we're doing at the Tape Never Lies Network. We even have a music director now.
Awesome.
All our music with me, as you know, doing our music stuff. So gotta have you back on. Just thetapeneverlies.com. www.thetapeneverlies.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And we will catch you guys next week. Oh, and Heidi, thank you for hanging out with us too. And Berlissimo and Shane and Valician. Thanks everybody who joined in. We'll see you next week.
God bless.